I've always believed you have to put money into your career. Yeah. People who say like, oh, well, I don't want to spend that much money. Well, then you're not building your business, right? Like, you got to pay the piper, because I think that's, if you're just waiting for somebody, Martin Scorsese, to discover you at a coffee shop because it's a $15 cup of coffee, right? Like that's laziness, right?
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. I am excited for today's episode. It is going to be a fire one. But before we jump in, I just want to say thanks so much to everyone that has left a review or leaving comments on YouTube. Your insight and your shares really do mean a lot. So thanks so much. And I want to shout out one of our awesome 5-star reviews. Anonymize says, I've been listening to this podcast and I'll listen in the car, at the gym, or wherever I need the motivation. It's really informative, inspiring, and it's just simply a game changer and helps with positive mindset. I love all of it, and I can't wait for more episodes. So let's dive in to this episode. We got an incredible actress in the house, Miss Tatiana Zappardino. What's up, Tatiana?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to have you here, and all of you should be excited. This is Tina Manfredi from Tulsa King.
Yeah, that's me.
Does that feel crazy?
It did season 1. It felt crazy, but now it's
me.
just who I am. Yeah. It's a part of me.
I love it. You're alongside. I want to say Sly. You're alongside Mr. Sylvester Stallone. So I just have to he's a legend.
He is.
He's a legend.
How
you got a cool story for me to start off with Sly?
There's so many. He's such a character. I mean, he's been like a superstar for so long. It's just his personality. There's no like on and off button anymore. It's just him, right? So he walks on set. He's like, everybody, he just literally just says hi to everyone. And he's such a goofball because like he'll like make fun of people to his face, like, this guy, what's going on? And I love being around him. But I think my story for this season specifically, we had like a tear-jerking scene, which is unheard of. But the makeup artist comes up to him and like gets a tear stick out. And he's like, what the hell is that? And she's like, it's to help you cry. And he goes, get that shit out of here. I'm old school.
Really?
Yes. He's like, absolutely not. What the hell is tear stick crap? And then he comes over and like a pro, he just like stares at me and one tear falls down. And I'm like, holy smoke. And he goes, as soon as they cut, he's like, that's what I'm talking about. He was so excited. And I was like, damn, yeah, like it was really impressive.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I get a little bit lazy and I put that tear stick in because then you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the emotions coming, because sometimes when you try to push it, you look like this,
Yeah. I feel like that's part of it. You make like just a real crazy, gross face and the tears will come.
Yeah. That's why it's like, if you don't worry about the tears, you just worry about like being right here with somebody, then the tears come on its own with like the tear stick is my opinion. But there are obviously times where I can tear up if it's real good.
Wow. So Sly Stallone, he says, get that tear stick out of here.
Get that tear stick out of here. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Props, Mr. Stallone. Props.
Very good.
So this season that's coming out this week, September 15th, everyone, season 2, Tulsa King, you were upgraded to series regular this year. Congratulations. Can you walk me through kind of that, I guess that path for you? Like, was that something that you thought was going to happen? Did they talk to you about it? Were you like, fingers crossed, I hope it happens? Like, how did that whole process go for you?
I definitely had a feeling, season 1, I was already kind of feeling like I was a series regular, but I just started halfway through the season. So obviously that's not considered a series regular, right? But because I am his only daughter, closest family, I mean, he needs that in the show. Like I'm kind of a necessity to the storyline. Otherwise, he's just some bad guy causing trouble if there's no like heart of the story. So I definitely saw it coming, but of course it always feels good to finally get that call because when your agent calls, which he never does, when he calls, it's like, oh, something's a brewing, you know? You're like, yeah, let's go. And they're like, hey, we got everybody on the line. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's always gonna be exciting. I always do my happy dance, always put on some music, you know, like it's just exciting, you know.
So wait, what song did you play?
Oh God. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, it's just like, I think like high energy something.
Yeah,
or, okay.
It's probably I literally could not tell you. Maybe like thunder or something like that. You know, like something silly.
Right.
Just like, I probably played Rocky. I don't know, like just like some of his songs. Like,
man, that's exactly what needed to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's always exciting because you know, as an actor, you work so hard. You do millions of auditions, so you have to really just enjoy those times where you finally did it. And you're like,
yeah.
Nice.
You're what was when I think back, I mean, you did a wonderful job in season 1 too. And I remember, I think I hit you up. I don't know if you remember, but when I finally watched it, it's the scene in the flower shop.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, Tatiana like crushed it. And I like really wanted to like hit you. So I made sure to hit you up. But what was like the first scene that you had with him? And like, were you like, oh my God, like, were you like freaking out or were you just like ready for it?
The first scene was actually the first scene where we're at like dinner.
Yeah.
That wasn't the first scene actually, because like that was just the first scene we filmed was at dinner. And
I feel like there could have been a lot of pressure in that scene. There's a lot of people, right? And so it's like time to show up. So
I think the weird thing was like, because I met him immediately, felt comfortable. He reminds me so much of my own father who passed. And it just felt like it just fit. Like there wasn't really like a moment where I was like, I mean, obviously I look up to him and he you know, like a father. So it's like when he speaks, I'm like very making sure I listen and stuff like that. But he's very good at making people feel comfortable. He doesn't have this like distance where he's like, I'm better than you. You're lower than me. Remember that. He was literally like, he came up to me and he goes, listen, I saw your New Day commercials. And I love them so much. And I thought to myself, if that girl can make something as boring as veteran home loans interesting, she has to be good. And I was like, oh, is that? I did not realize that's why he asked me to audition. Because because of my commercials.
Hold on. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know it either.
Saw your prior?
No, so he's a big Fox News guy, right? So like his partner, he's like, you don't understand. We'd be arguing and your commercial would come on and he'd be like, shh.
No.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know. I never thought that commercial would get me anything, but I mean, I loved working with New Day. That's obviously a side note. Like,
I mean, you really love New Day.
I did. Oh yeah. I still love them. Unfortunately, they couldn't go SAG, and I decided to just step away. But I adore that company. Everyone always treated me so well. Everyone was the nicest, but yeah, they got me my job at Tulsa King.
That's incredible. You know, I mean, that story's on another level, but that just goes to show you that you should like be excited to work. Yeah. And you just never know what's going to happen and what's going to lead to what and who's seen what and how your work has affected someone else that like you have no idea at what point someone's watching it and like what could be happening.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That's
always be ready.
Yeah.
I mean, even those small things, like, you know, like your career adds up by little pieces. It's not like one big mountain, you know?
Yeah.
I guess a little rock here and there, you know? So, yeah. And ironically, that was my first commercial I ever booked too.
Really?
Like, yeah. New Day is such a funny story because like they were looking for real veterans. So when I went to Stillwell's office for this audition, there was me and one other woman. That was it.
Wow.
I came in high heels, tight dress. She came in like a suit. She was a little more of the butch style, which I was like, okay, they're going to go either or. Like that's the two options we have, right? Like nobody else was a veteran in all of Atlanta, I guess. That was it. So they hired me and I go. But there was me and three other people. So there's 4 of us. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I was like, da, da, da. So I do my stuff, da, 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 and then I go home. And then a few weeks later, they call me like, they want you to be the official spokesperson. I was like, really? Oh, okay. I thought there was a bunch of us. So how it worked was each of us had our own commercial with a different phone number. So they tested to see who called which commercial the most.
Oh.
Mine was called by far like 15 times more than anyone else's.
Wow.
So that's how I booked it. I was like, you don't know this stuff. You don't realize that like, oh, you're literally auditioning again for a bigger thing. I was like, oh, whatever, just coming out here, dude. And then I got a spokesperson job for my first commercial. So, that's cool. Yeah, I'll do that. That was amazing.
Because that turned into like a recurring thing for a while, right?
So I'd go like about 4 times a year, had a salary. And that was it's the being non-union job, you know, like you have the pros and cons. Like the commercial played all the time, constantly, but you don't get paid for every time it gets paid. You know, like it goes on. That's the caveat. It's like you do get a lot of face time out there, which that's fine. At the time of my career, I was like, that's fine. Obviously, I'll take whatever you give me. I don't care, you know, because we're just starting. But then after a while I'm making the company millions, I'm like, I think it's time for me to get paid every time I use my image. Because I went SAG and I was like, I think it's time. And they couldn't. Which
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's totally fine. So now they have a great new spokesperson. I've actually met her. She's awesome. And I wish that company nothing but great things. So
I mean, Sylvester Stallone called. So
I know. I know.
That's incredible. So when I think back to your career too, because we've known each other for a while, I remember when you got a series regular in the show Superstition on Sci-Fi Network. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like that's incredible. And it's just another story of like Atlanta getting series regular jobs. And I remember being really excited for you and just like more of these types of things are coming, right? And so can you talk about, because that was 2017, probably filmed that in 2016 actually. So a fair amount of years in between. Can you talk about the difference between that series regular job to now series regular as Tulsa King?
Well, okay. So Superstition was my first union job, which I was so excited about. But I went on set bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, right? Like everything was new, brand new.
Yeah.
Like I've never worked on multi-camera like sets. I haven't. So it was a huge learning experience. Like because independent films are so focused on continuity, I was not really understanding how big productions work. So he would have we would do the scene like this, but then the camera would switch to over here. And he'd be like, Tatiana, why are you still looking this way? We can't see your face. The camera's over here now. So he'd be like, he's like, so you move over here. And then he's like, camera's over here now. Follow it. Like if you want to follow, you got to follow it and always like kind of make the camera in front of you. Find the light. Okay, whatever. And it's like constantly changing. Like you never really do the same scene because, you know, like in the end, like whatever cut they use, was what they're going to use. Like, why do you have to focus so much on that first take? You know, like, so I was learning all this stuff and it was a little overwhelming because I was like, okay, like you're learning so much. Like I didn't have years of experience as co-stars kind of learning this stuff and building up. It was like, you're thrown into the pit and you go. So now that I'm like, a lot more understanding of how the camera works. Like I felt prepared for Tulsa King, right? Like I was like, oh, I know exactly what's happening and they don't need to tell me anymore. Like I was more versed in my angles and finding my light and stuff like that like all I really needed was, you know, them to just give me notes here and there, but like that was the biggest change. And the second biggest thing difference-wise was we had a production size. I mean, Superstition was a lot smaller. So I knew every crew member. I knew and then our cast members, because we were in so many scenes together, we were all very close. Like we all ate lunch together and like, because I know that like, once again, because I was new, I didn't want to eat in my trailer by myself. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go sit with everyone. And then all the other actors like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, I'm sitting with the crew. And they're like, I was like, why wouldn't you be allowed to do it? Let's go see it. So then we're all bonding and everyone's hanging out. Everyone knows each other's name on Superstition. We were all like really close and like we still talk today, like, you know? And then because Tulsa King has thousands of people in production, there's no way for me to know everyone. And because the series regular group is so big and we're not always in the same scenes together, we didn't really get to bond together, which makes me sad because I love bonding with the castmates, you know, like back in theater days, like you're together and like that all the time and like you're best friends. But no matter how much hard I tried, it's like, well, I'm really just in scenes with Sly or my aunt sometimes and the kids. Like that's it. So I didn't really get to bond with other members, which makes me sad because I think that was always my favorite part of Superstition is like, you know, really joining together and becoming a family. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, at least if you're in a scene with anyone, I guess at least it's Sly.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's the best to do scenes with.
Yeah.
He's the best. Yeah.
So what would you say? I think that's interesting talking about essentially like learning about the camera. I remember when I did American Reunion, there was one of the scenes and I just remember being like, I'm just going to act it. And I remember when I watched it, I was like, gosh, I was not aware of the camera at all. And like, I could have had like this scene would have like maybe worked better for my reel, or you could have seen me better. Like if I just was paying any attention at all. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like it's such a great point that you bring that type of stuff up. And I guess like, is there for somebody that is still starting out, can you kind of, I guess, break it down a little bit further, some things that you've learned on set that will serve someone like on their first or second time? Yeah.
Well, so the camera is your scene partner, right? Like that's one of the big things. You cannot forget it's there. You can't forget your eyes, right? Your eyes, if they're down, if they're looking down here, if you're crying, you're covering your face. If you look this way, you're not going to catch anything. No one gives a crap about your scene anymore. Like if you don't connect with the eyes, it's up. So like when you want to think, like you want to kind of look up a little bit, you know, like when you want to cry, you want to keep it up here towards, so I'm still kind of looking towards camera without looking at it. And I could still be talking to you and crying without actually like crying at you. Because if the camera's pointing here, you can't really tell that you're not exactly right here.
Right.
So sometimes you kind of have to forget your partner a little bit at those like really pinpointed moments and give the camera everything you're feeling versus giving your. I know that sounds a little counterintuitive because like it's always like
it's about your partner, but I mean that's such a good point. I mean it's really the story that we're telling.
Yes.
You know, and it really the most important person is the audience.
Yeah. I mean, and it'll be easier if the camera was right here that I could give everything to you, right? But I'm saying like if it is over here, if it's a little bit of a wide shot, you know, just take it out a little bit. I think that cheating out from like theater days is very useful.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't look down. I see it all the time. I see co-stars coming on and I'm like, oh man, and I'm not the director, so I can't be like, hey man, look up, right? You know, they're kind of like, they blink a lot, blinking a lot too. You don't blink a lot. So one of the big things, especially for close-ups, is try not to blink like at all. Maybe one or twice, right? But like, I remember Scarlett, who's Sly's daughter. She's like, oh, yeah, he keeps watching your footage and saying, see, Scarlett, see how she doesn't blink all the time? And I was like, yeah, thanks. Because like, I think I learn a lot of this stuff just by watching really good movies. And I'm like, I notice these actors who they keep the contact and they don't look away. That loses it. You know, they just kind of keep it. They keep their eyes open. And that's also what helps water. Keeping your eyes open, looking right at the light, makes your eyes water faster, adds the like emotion, the gloss, like all these things of like your eyes are probably the strongest character in the scenes.
Wow.
You know, so
when I was in school, we did a scene and the instructor didn't tell us like what was coming. And then he's like, you know, if I was the instructor and he's like, oh, Tatiana, like great job, but you blinked 33 times in that scene. And it was like, what? And
yeah,
so I remember that. And man,
it reads so strong, man.
Yeah.
Every blink, you're like,
yeah,
it reads. And it's,
yeah, sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times I'm watching my auditions and I'm like, mother, you freaking blinked 900 times, Jesse, son of a, you know? And I really do wonder, do you think this actually, because sometimes my own auditions, I'm like, I wasn't paying attention to my blinking at all. And I'm blinking so much. And I wonder if they're not going to hire me because they're going to be like, look how much he's blinking.
I mean,
what do you think?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think it's just a good like thing to think about. But sure, sometimes you blink in scenes. Like it's a normal human thing. Sometimes if you don't blink, then it's
Then
like
that's
some
also
weird
good.
robot thing, right? Like you can blink. I'm just saying to keep mind of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like if you notice you did it 31 times in one take, it's probably something you need to work on.
Yep.
Versus, okay, you blink 5 times, that's fine. Like it's not a
Right.
big deal. And even if you did blink a lot, I mean, maybe it's the character. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe like tweaking on drugs or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So tell me and the viewers, what do we have to like look forward to in season 2 with, without, we can't spoil anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Sly does not use a tear stick.
No,
we
he
know
does
that.
not. He's all natural. Yeah.
But what do we have to look forward to?
So season 2 is just packed with action.
Is
I mean,
it?
there's a lot of other gangs that are stepping up to the plate, and they're like, "What up?" And he's like, "What up?" And then there's like a lot of fighting. Let's just say that
Sounds about right.
But I do think that there's a lot of scenes that bring Tina and Dwight closer together. He gets to know his family more, but then there's also scenes that keep it's like an accordion. It goes like this through the season. There might be a little romance that you might be looking forward to.
Okay.
But yeah, I think overall, this season is not what you expect it to be.
Oh,
So
okay.
anything that you like got from season 1, you're like, I think it's going to go this way. You're probably wrong.
Nice.
They're very good at keeping you on your toes and saying, nope, we're going to go this way now. And
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right, everyone, make sure you're tuning in. So, Tatiana, I remember, I don't know why, but I'm specifically thinking of like a pool party that we were at together back in our partying days, right? And I just feel like you have changed and matured so much. You're now a mother. And so I'd love to kind of walk down that path with you a little bit and how that has kind of I don't know how that's just like affected your whole kind of balance in life. And I saw you at a party not long ago, and I remember you saying something along the lines of like, I got to a point where I was just kind of like, what else or like am I doing? Like yeah, so I'd love to just like talk to you about that. I think that's so important.
yeah, sure. Well, I definitely went the other route of like kind of traveling a lot and kind of living for myself in my 20s, which, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I did a lot of things, pretty much experienced everything. And then there was a point, like you said, where I was like, well, what now? Like I feel like it's kind of becoming a little monotonous. Like it's the same thing all the time. Like what? I go and drink and I go dance and do karaoke. Like I wasn't going any further in my life. It felt like kind of stuck. And then, I think that it was funny. After season 1 of Tulsa King, I decided to go on like a trip for myself because I did Consultant and Tulsa King and This Is Us at the same time. So I was just like, all right, I'm getting out of here for a little bit. So I did like a 2-month vacation. I went to Bali. I did this fun thing in Bali. I went to New Zealand, got a car, drove through the Lord of the Rings kind of like,
Nice.
circuit. A big Lord of the Rings fan. And then I went to Australia and went great white shark tank diving because it was my birthday, and every year on my birthday I like to do something I've never done, and I'm terrified of sharks, so I'm like, let's do it. And it was actually really cool because it kind of takes away the fear a little bit. They just kind of like swim around like little dopes. Fish are like circling them. They're not like viciously eating everything.
Right.
Like it was really cool. But while I was out there, I met the love of my life, Alexander, and we got pregnant. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, like this was at the pinnacle of my career. My life's over. Like how am I supposed to do the show pregnant? Like I think I'm done. Like I can't believe this is happening. But then the strike happened. It was perfect timing. And I was like, oh no, not the strike. I was so excited. I was very private about my pregnancy because, like I know a lot of the industry says that they're very futuristic with women and pro going to have babies. They're not, like I just didn't want to give anyone a reason for me to not come back to work.
Sure, yeah.
So I kept it private until she was finally born. And then something changed. I did it like I think that like when I finally had the baby, I was like, all right, I'm gonna have a girls' night. And it sucked. And I was
The
like,
girls' night.
yeah. Not because I didn't have fun with the girls, but I was like, I want to be home. Like I don't know why am I out here? Like this isn't fun for me. Like I want to be with my child. I want to be with my partner. Like and then I started realizing like when I became a mom, like you're not living for yourself anymore. You're living for them. And it was like a whole new journey for me because I'm like, oh my God, I've been living for myself for 33 years, just doing whatever I want, whenever the wind blows. And now it's like, what does she need? What does she need? She's a priority. And I think it woke me up and matured me, like you said, because I don't think of just me anymore. And I think, that you're supposed to put others first. That's how it's supposed to be. But I think when I finally had a kid, I was like, oh, that's what they mean by, that's what God means by like putting someone else before yourself, because it does make your life happier when you live for yourself. And people are like, oh, it's me time. Yeah, sure. But I don't know if it feeds your soul. I don't think that giving myself more selfish time for me. It's just, I think it kind of emptied me until there was nothing left. And I was like, what else does the world owe me? Nothing. The world owes you nothing. Forget what you need. Everything I give to her now. And I think everything I give to my partner. And I'm like, let me just provide for them and give them love and affection and stuff like that. And I think that like seeing her grow up, she's just flourishing so much because I literally drown her in love. Literally. Just like, get that love, And yeah, so motherhood has been probably the best thing I've ever gone through.
Wow.
Mm.
It's funny. I went to a Tony Robbins event not too long ago, and he talks about the 6 human needs, and it's certainty, uncertainty, significance, love and connection, and then giving back, and then growth. And the interesting thing about having a kid is that it does all 6,
Yeah.
And so I think that's why. Because, I mean, you are not the only one. Like, I feel like every single person I meet, they're like, oh, my God, it's the best thing ever. Like, it has changed my entire life in such an incredible way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, oh, it hits all 6 of those, like the certainty that, like, you're the mother and you are going to take care, and the uncertainty of, like, well, I have no idea what's going to happen today, and feeling important, and then obviously having that love, and then you have to grow, and then you're also giving back.
Yeah.
And, so I just feel like that was like such an eye opener, because Candy and I at this point in our life were like, yeah, we don't think we're gonna have kids.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I think it's like if you focus on hitting those 6 human needs, then you'll be fulfilled.
Yeah.
But can you talk about because I love so much the not being so focused on you, like the giving back. Do you think you can do that even without it? Like if you didn't have a child, what would you do differently?
Unfortunately, I think I was actually going down a really bad path. LA can change you a little bit, right? Like I think the party scene out there can be a little dangerous.
Really?
And I think if I didn't,
how long were you out there? I don't even.
About 5 years.
What? I didn't even.
Yeah. I moved during COVID.
Oh, I didn't even know you went out there.
So here's the funny thing, and I mean, remind me to come back to this, okay? Why I moved to LA.
Okay.
But I don't think I would have grown at all if I didn't have the kid. I think I would have continued kind of down a path of destruction.
Wow.
But then as soon as I had her, there's no option. You can't do these stupid things. When you go out to drink, you can't stay out late and get drunk anymore, because you're going to have to wake up 3 times when you get home. There's no option. You have to wake up at 6 o'clock when she wakes up. You can't leave her in there crying you no longer have the option to be a shithead. Excuse my language. But I'm telling you, like literally, I think without her, I don't think I would have had a compass pointing north. I think I still would have been kind of a little bit of I don't know.
You going down that you know what, like a selfish path, really?
I think I would have, because I think I was trying to fill this void in me that I've always wanted to be a mom. I was told when I was younger that I couldn't even get pregnant because of some uterine thing, right?
Really?
Yeah. So I really thought I couldn't. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart. And then, of course, God's like, here you go.
Had you had tried to get pregnant
33.
before?
Let's say I didn't not try. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't
interesting.
I probably wasn't the safest woman in the world. I'm going to be honest with you
Yeah.
because I think I'm not, I mean, yes, I'm a Christian woman, but I make mistakes. I do things. I'm not perfect. And, but yeah, so I really didn't think I could get pregnant. I mean, in my ripe 20s, nothing. Even when I was dating people and like, maybe we did try, like there was something, but it wasn't, I think it's because I wasn't ready.
Right.
And I'm glad I didn't have kids in my 20s because I was still kind of figuring my life out. And thank God it happened after I booked Tulsa King because now I'm in a financial position where, like, yes, of course I still audition and want to work, but I can still really stay home and focus on being a mom without that second job. So I get to put time and effort into my kids, you know? But yeah, I mean, kids aren't for everyone. That's fine. People are already great people without kids. I wasn't. I don't think I was. I think that like I had a lot to work on. I didn't have a lot of love in my life. And I think that when you have a kid, it's just this unconditional love that grows in your own heart because you just love this thing so much. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So it's like all the love that I didn't have, it finally filled me up. And I think that's what helped me grow because I was kind of dying a little bit.
Wow. I mean, that is such a beautiful story. It really is. So you said bring it back to why you moved to LA.
Yes.
When you went down apparently a very crazy ass path.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, so I moved to LA during COVID. And I just want to tell.
I feel like not the ideal time to go.
There it is. I want to tell listeners why everything I do in my career, I think smarter. Okay? Because everyone kept telling me that's a stupid idea. Why would you do this? Nothing's happening. I'm like, exactly. Nothing is happening right now. Casting directors, managers, agents are bored out of their minds. So guess what they were doing? They were doing workshops constantly. These big casting directors doing workshops, and now they never do them anymore. So I went out there. Within 2 weeks, I got my manager because I did a workshop, and he's freaking amazing. You know, he's with industry entertainment. Like I did a workshop with like 3 great management companies that they don't do workshops anymore because they were bored. Nothing was going on. So I was able to meet a lot of cool casting directors that just don't do anything anymore. And I booked within a year. So when people say like, don't do something, I'm like, but why? Just because we're closed in, it gives you more reason. While I was there, I went through 5 different acting schools on Zoom because I wanted to figure out which class I wanted to take in person versus driving everywhere, right? So I was like, no, yes, found my class. So once everything started opening up, boom, I saved time, saved energy. But now I met a bunch of different coaches out there, and I kind of knew which ones were kind of bullshit. I was like, nope, that's just terrible. And I think that like I was like, this was a perfect opportunity to get ahead while everyone else is sleeping on their asses.
Oh, wow.
And it was exactly what happened. Like literally within that next year, I booked, you know, This Is Us and Consultant and Tulsa King, like within like the next 2 years. And I was like, okay. So people come out to LA and they say it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for 10 years. Happen for me in 2-3 years.
Wow.
You know? So I think that like you have to think strategically and not just think, you know, like that's not a good idea. But why? Like I think it was a great idea and I was right.
It's interesting. So the reason why I was like, oh, it seems like not a good time, was just I've heard so many horror stories about LA during COVID specifically.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I love the strategy in that. Can you? So your plan was like, I think everyone's bored and it's dead, and so I'll be able to find my way. And like that was the idea.
Everyone left.
Right.
Everyone moved home. So it was like ghost town. I was like, this is it. I'm not going against 20,000 other actors because they all moved back to Kentucky, right? Like, so it was like the doors were open. I think that even so, like these casting directors and these managers and agents and stuff, they're like, who's still hustling? And I think that's, you start noticing like those classes were really small, but they're like, oh, these people are still working. They're ready to like hit the ground running once doors are open. Like that's kind of what you want. You want to show people that like, hey, I'm going to work no matter what. Even if like the government tries to keep me at home, I'm going to continue to work. Right. So I think that was my strategy, and it worked.
Wow, so smart. I love that, because I'm always talking about like the business side of this and what strategy tactic can we put in, and that was so smart, so smart.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you doing now? What's your strategy now?
So never sit on your hands. Never sit on your hands, right? Okay. So after season 1 of Tulsa King, I was like, hey, publicist, should we do it? And they're like, no. I'm like, why? And they're like, because you're just a recurring guest star, and it's slideshow. Okay, makes sense. Fine. Season 2, publicist, what's going on? They're like, okay, yeah, because you're a series regular now, and I think you have a bigger part in the season. I'm like, great, let's do it. So I'm on a publicity like rollout currently, and it costs a lot of money, and which I've always believed you have to put money into your career. People who say like, oh, well, I don't want to spend that much money. Well, then you're not building your business, right? Like, you got to pay the piper, because I think that's, if you're just waiting for Martin Scorsese to discover you at a coffee shop because it's a $15 cup of coffee, right? Like that's laziness, right? So I'm like, no, let's do it. I talked to my publicist, like, let's do it. So just did my editorial shoot. We're going to start pushing that for interviews and magazine articles and stuff like that, and try to get some red carpet time, and we'll see if there's like a premiere before Tulsa King premieres. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm rolling with right now.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I can't wait to check in and see how it's working.
It's my first time doing it, so
Yeah.
I'm really excited. But I knew it was like, how do you go to the next level? Like, what do people do when they try to go up? I mean, publicity is one of the things. There's so much content out there. There's so many TV shows.
So much.
No one's gonna. Some people sure know Tulsa King, but there's still gonna be a little bit maybe under Euphoria or all this other stuff, right? But guess what? Zendaya has a big publicist. Literally, her image is pushed so hard.
Yeah.
I literally can vision what she looks like, what dresses she's worn this week. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go up a level. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm like, what's next? All right, publicist. All right. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
I love it. Well, I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to crush it. So then what advice would you have for someone, if you think back to when you were first here in Atlanta? Oh, wait, there's actually a question that I did want to ask, and then I'm going to go back to that one. In this in-between time, you have switched agents.
Yes.
And I wanted to bring that up because people think about, I think there's a certain sense of like loyalty to agent, and I want to be with the same agent forever, which I think is great and admirable. Why did you decide to switch agents? And more importantly, probably, like, how did you do it? Did you feel like you were burning bridges? Like, did that bring like anxiety? Like, how did you kind of walk that line of professionalism?
So I think with agents, they're part of your team, and you are a business. That's how you have to think of your life. You can't think of it as like, we're best friends that sing Kumbaya. I don't think it's personal. So I was with my agency before the one now, and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were very good. But I think the turning point was, I told them my plans for growth. I said, I want to go to LA and open up my market out there. And they said, no, that's stupid. It's a waste of time, waste of money. You're gonna regret it and come back with just broke. And I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like small-mindedness. I want to grow. I want to grow my empire. I want to have New York, London, Canada. Like, I want to grow. I don't want to be small and stuck in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I love Atlanta. God, I love Atlanta here. It's my favorite place. But I didn't like the small mentality. I was like, all right, I think that my time here's up. Right? So I messaged Alex White, and I was like, hey, I'd love to meet with you. And he goes, yeah, let's meet. And I told him the same thing. I said, I'd like to grow and expand to LA. And he goes, let's do it. I love this idea. And I was like, that's the kind of mindset I need to work with. So I did that. I did it in the middle of this callback for what was the movie with Chris Pratt? The day after. No, the day. Tomorrow War or something. Yeah, Tomorrow War. I was in the middle of this callback and I was like, oh man, my agent switched. I doubt they pushed me. It's fine. It's whatever. It wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I did that because it was what's best for me. And I'm not, and I feel bad because there was a little bit of animosity from my agent that they were upset, and I felt really bad. I was like, listen, I like you guys. Like it's not personal. Like I when you have to level up, you have to level up. I mean, that's how you grow your business. You can't just do everything based off of being nice. I think we already struggle with that as women, of always having to be nice. Otherwise, people don't want to work with you. Okay, well, screw that. I'm not going to be nice. I'm going to be smart.
So for you, it was pretty, I guess you could just say like easy. Like the way you describe it is just like, I want to level up. It looks like you are going to hold me back from that. So it's over. Like, I don't even have to think about it. Like, was it that easy for you, or?
That was it.
Yeah.
That was the moment. Because if they were willing to do that with me and they were like, heck yeah, let's do this, I probably would have stuck with them longer.
Right.
But you have to grow. If you're stuck in this, I'm okay with being co-stars forever, it's just not who I am. I can't do that anymore. I have to be able to see, well, what's next? I want to eventually be like create my own movies, have a production company. Like I don't want to be stuck under someone else's thumb, Like I think so. We'll see. I mean, I love Alexander White Agency, but once again, it is a business relationship, and I know that Alex is very professional in that way, and I don't think he sees it any other way as well. Like that's how it works. Is like he understands it, and same thing with all the other agencies. Like they should just understand that like it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the cool thing about Alex and AWA is, and he describes it like this. So I don't think I'm putting words in his mouth, but he's never looked at himself as like, I'm an Atlanta agent. He's just like, I'm an agent.
Yeah.
And so he's always looked at all of the markets and tried to get in there, where some other agents I think in town are like, well, no, we're in Atlanta, so I'm going to focus on Atlanta. I think both strategies are fine, And what I really love about this, Tatiana, is that like one, you're like self-assured confidence, and like, well, this is my plan, this is what I'm doing, and like if you're not on board, then you're out. And like nothing against them, but it's just like this is my plan and my business, and I love that ownership. And I think that there's stories of people going to LA and it hasn't gone well, and so people are just they are kind of retelling those stories. They're like, well, this is what I heard from so-and-so. So like why it might not work for you. And I just love, you're just another, you're more proof of like, there's no right way.
No, you can't listen to other people because they're usually all different circumstances. Like maybe they were smoking weed all day and not doing anything. Cause I know a lot of actors who are like that. Who are like, I haven't booked anything. I'm like, well, what classes are you taking? What have you reached out to workshops or like our agents, manager? Like, what are you doing to build your career? Nothing. I just got like one audition. I didn't book it. Okay, well, there's your answer. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you can keep trying to play, blackjack until you win, but you have to do something. You can't just sit around. So like all these people who give you like, oh, it was such a waste of time. Well, I just don't know what they did with their time.
Exactly. But I mean, also, your strategy was like everyone's leaving, you said go back to Kentucky. They all went back to Kentucky and Iowa. And you went there, you know what I mean? So like the timing of it was also incredible. Like you said, people that were not doing workshops and classes, they kind of like didn't have a choice, Everybody at that time was struggling.
Yeah.
And like, when are we going to work again? How are we going to pay our bills? And so it was very smart. You're like, they will be doing these types of things and I can utilize that and I can take advantage of it.
Exactly.
Super smart. All right. So now going back, what advice would you give someone, if they're trying to get that first or second, third co-star or just trying to level up? Because we talked about leveling up. What advice would you give to that person that's here in the Southeast?
Yeah. So I actually give this advice a lot because people always ask me this question.
Do they?
Yeah. It's so funny because like they're like, oh, how do I become an actor? I'm like, work. Like you literally just have to work your butt off in everything you do. if that means going to improv theaters and sweeping the basement so you can get free classes, which I used to, I've done that. I've done the whole, like, what can I do to get free classes, and working at every theater and stuff like that. You have to work your butt off. There's no easy answer. But I would say start having fun with your auditions. Your auditions are 90% of your time, right? 10% is actually work. So if you don't enjoy that 90%, you're going to hate your career. You are. If you're like, the freaking another audition, bleh. It's like, well, that's literally your job. It's just to audition. It's not to book the role. So I always have fun with my audition. I did an audition last night and I read it. I was like, ooh, okay, cool. I'm going to shoot this in like a bed, right? Like, why not? What the hell are they going to do? They're going to not hire me? Well, it doesn't matter. They probably wouldn't either because they didn't like me. They either like me or they don't. So I'm like, I'm going to have some fun, right? I want to do something that I want to do. I want to enjoy what I give. There's no right answer. You cannot give this perfect idea of what you think they're looking for because they don't know what they're looking for. Or they might be like, you know what, we're going to diversify it. We don't even want you because of whatever reason. You have too blonde of hair or whatever, right? So like, you can't control it. All you can control is, do you enjoy doing your auditions? So have fun with them. I remember I did this really fun audition for, what's it called? It was the British show that they made into American. Hey Flex or Welcome to Flatch.
Oh, Welcome to Flatch. Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I love the British show. It was like, I was so excited that they were making it. So I was auditioning for the main girl. And I decided to do a bunch of improv just outside, just like, like in her kind of character. We're like a backwards hat. I was like showing like cool moves and working out, right? Just like, I was having a blast. I was like, I want to show these people that this is me. Like, this is my life. And I added it. I don't know if my agent sent it, but I was literally like, show them everything you got. Like, have fun. This is like, you can show them what this character could be. Don't just give them what they're asking for. And yeah, so that would be my advice is literally you have to enjoy and have fun with your auditions and don't just go for the basic bare minimum. My lighting and makeup look good. Okay, cool. Right? Like, that gets boring.
Totally. You know what I love about that so much is like, you, as far as I know, you didn't book Welcome to Flatch.
No.
But like, do you see how much she lit up talking about that audition?
Oh, it's so much fun.
You're like, that was so much fun. Like, you just owned it. You're like, I don't give a shit. I'm making this up. And like, the point was like, you created that art that day. You had fun with what you were doing with that audition. And you're like, hey, and if they want me, it's going to be great because I'm going to kill it. I'm going to have so much fun. But if not, I still had fun.
Yeah.
And that's the point. I love that. And actors 1,000,000% get stuck in the like, oh, it's another audition, another one I'm probably not going to book, another one that I was just like, are they going to watch it? Do they like me? You get into this thing.
Get over it. Get over it. They probably don't like you, but they'll hire you if you're good.
Yeah.
They don't have to like you. No one likes Kevin Spacey, but for some reason he does an audition. They're like, that's pretty good. Right?
Yeah,
like,
really good. All right, Tatiana, we got to get to the spotlight sign off. Otherwise, we'll be here until Tulsa King actually comes out, and then we'll just turn it on and watch. So first question is, what's something you're super grateful for today?
I am grateful for my daughter.
I mean, I figured that was going to be the answer. Yeah. Do you remember I was, when I invited you on the podcast, you were like, do I bring my daughter? And I was like, oh, well, I guess you could. I don't know. She could sit over here. I'm not really, I wanted to tell you yes, but I was like, I don't know where she's going to go.
No, I know. Yeah. No, it was good.
I feel like you wouldn't have been able to be as free. You were like very lively in this interview. So like it would have, I think she would have held you back a little bit. Yeah.
Just constantly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. So, all right. Second question. Is there a book, TV show, or like movie that changed the trajectory of your life?
Oh gosh, I should have looked at these spotlight questions first. Okay, so I think one of my favorite shows is Frasier, and I think I loved watching how simple the acting can be and clear and precise, and yet so much humor. So I think that like, because I love comedy, but I love good acting, right? So like this show is just so full of it. I think it inspired me on my journey.
I love that. Do you think sitcoms are going to come back? I hope so. Right? You'd love to be in a sitcom, right?
I actually don't think they
No?
like. So they brought Frasier back.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but like,
I tried to watch it, and I'm like, I'm sorry, without David Hyde Pierce, it's just not holding up. And I think Kelsey Grammer's fantastic. I think he's such a freaking good actor. But I don't know if sitcoms are hitting as hard.
No.
I don't know why, because I still rewatch sitcoms, and they're still amazing.
Good. They're so fun.
I think that we're in a world right now where people are so afraid to tell jokes. So they suck. Like, the jokes aren't funny unless it's like, unless there's that freedom back again, like, or if you become a show like South Park where you just stop caring.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Third question is there something in your daily routine that you really cherish?
Yeah. I like breakfast time with my daughter. It's funny because like I love making sure that she eats and like likes what I cook her, but then also when she gets this attitude and she just throws it on the floor, I'm like, man, you're gonna be a sassy girl anyway when you get older, and it just gets me so excited. I don't know why. I love when she does it. I'm like, oh, you want to start? Like, let's go.
That's definitely some mom shit right there. Cause I'm like, that sounds horrible. She just threw her food on the ground, and you
have to see it in her eyes though, because she's like,
I don't know about.
She knows what she's doing. It's hilarious.
Oh wow! All right. So your sassy battles.
Oh
with
yeah,
her. Yeah.
And then we dance a lot. We dance, and she does this.
Yeah.
I didn't know that babies don't dance, but she like dances all the time, and she started like kind of humming when I sing, like kind of matching me, and I'm like, oh, this girl is gonna be in musical theater. I know it.
Yes. I love it. What is something you're currently trying to improve in your life right now?
Oh God. Probably my health. I think with having a kid, struggling with sleep. I don't properly nutrients.
You're not getting the proper nutrients.
I'm not getting the proper nutrients. Like, I kind of just like whatever. I'll have some gum before bed.
What?
I know it's bad.
Some gum.
I'm just so tired. So like when she goes to bed, I'm kind of like,
thank God I can go to sleep.
yeah, like it's. So I think I need to start cooking every meal for myself and like stop ordering DoorDash.
Yes. All right. That's good. I mean, I'm trying to. You know what? Let's just start there. Like, cook some meals. That's good. All right. We'll see what Candy says downstairs. All right. Last question. We went over a lot of cool stuff, but if you wanted to make sure that the listeners got one thing for sure, what would it be?
Stop waiting for permission. Make your own career.
I love that.
Yeah.
So easy, so simple. That's it. Well, everyone, Tatiana Zappardino. Make sure you go see Tulsa King. Make sure you get Paramount Plus if you don't have it. Anything else?
No.
Just watch it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I love it. Again, thanks so much for being here. You are awesome. Make sure to go see Tulsa King Season 2. It's coming out, everyone.